advocating for diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in the world of corporate and government contracting. It's not just a show, it's a movement. So get ready for another dynamic journey as we wake up the world to a new era of opportunities and empowerment. Ladies and gentlemen, President Larry Ives.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Chicago. It is that time of the day on a Saturday. I am so happy to be here. And my name is LaDonna Ray with Ray Consulting, and I'm a proud member of the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce. And I want to welcome you to the Wake Up Show Chicago. It is powered by the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce and sponsored by Wind Creek Casino Southland. Now, we are empowering Black owned businesses through access to capital, education, advocacy, and contracting opportunities. So whether it's getting invoices paid or building connections or fighting for legislation that puts Black businesses first, we are the voice of Black businesses in Illinois. And of course, I am co-host to the ever so, I just love saying this, Larry, the man with the plan, president and CEO of the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce, and also chairman of the board of the National Black Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C., Dr. Larry Ivory. Good morning, Doctor.
Hey, good morning to Donna Ray, and good morning to our listening audience. It is a beautiful day, and I'm excited today because we got something for you today. We have a special guest that's coming on to really kind of set things on fire because I've watched this gentleman, LaDonna, do so many incredible things. I'm just going to say a couple things real quick about him, and then I'm going to let you take it over from there.
Well, wait, can I
But,
interrupt you for a second? I got to interrupt you
go right ahead.
because before we
Go ahead.
introduce our guests, we got to talk about the networking event that we just had.
Oh yes, go right ahead, LaDonna Ray.
This,
Go right ahead.
yeah,
You got me so excited. I can't even talk. I can't remember what we did.
it's
Go right
okay.
ahead, LaDonna.
It's always something going on with the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce. But this past Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, the energy was incredible at Let's Chill in Calumet City, the home of our construction chair. Shout out to them for hosting, and that is Dr. DeAndre Rucker. I want to say thank you to everyone that came out. I wasn't able to attend. My son was graduating, but I was there in spirit. Trust me, I tried to slide over there, but it got too late. But Black businesses showed up and showed out. You guys exchanged business cards, resources, and success stories. Many of you joined the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce on the spot. And some of y'all even secured your spot on our upcoming VIP cruise at Navy Pier. This is awesome, Larry. This was great news.
It was, LaDonna. We had a fantastic time. Great food, great connectivity with some of our leading agencies when it comes to marketing. We had Sherman Wright. We had Zig TV. It was all kinds of just wonderful people networking, connecting, and if ever we need to connect now because there's a lot of things happening, and I think the key to our success and thriving is going to be our ability to leverage and connect to each other.
Love it, love it. And then we have an upcoming conference coming up in August as well that people are actually putting in their bids for, and they're registering for that already. So this is great news. And if you're interested in entering, or should I say registering for either of these events, that's the VIP cruise in June or the conference that's in August. It's a 3-day conference at the Wind Creek Casino, Chicago Southland. As you know, it is brand spanking new. We are already putting our event right there with our sponsor, and that's in August, and it's a 3-day conference. I believe it's August 5th through 7th. Make sure you go to ilbcc.org. Now it's time to introduce our guest.
Well, hey, LaDonna, hey, again, let me say I got beside myself because when you get someone that has done some things like this gentleman has done, when you talk about inspiring, because we're always talking about legacy wealth and creating wealth and doing things that has a positive impact upon the community. Because we always say, at the chamber, if you strengthen Black businesses, you strengthen Black people, you strengthen Black community, and you also strengthen America all at the same time. But this gentleman has been strengthening Black people and all people when it comes to creating wealth and legacy wealth. He has an incredible story. He's doing some exciting things. He's the only guy that I'm aware of well, I know for a fact because I've been the chairman twice. He's the only guy who's been selected at the national level to get the Outstanding Entrepreneur of the Year award twice. He's the only person in history.
Wow.
And we don't give those awards unless you really are doing something that has a positive impact upon our communities. But, his story is a compelling story. I'm going to just sit back, relax, and let him take you on the journey. So at this time, I'd like to introduce the one and only, the supernatural Darnell Self.
That's beautiful. And then also, he's originally, before he comes on, he's originally from Prince George's County, Maryland, now splitting time between Maryland and Houston, Texas. I just want everybody to know you quit your job at just 25 years old to chase entrepreneurship. And by your 30s, you were already a self made millionaire. Come on, Darnell Self. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here, and thank you for your kind
Darnell, make
words.
sure you're not muted. There we go. I gotta make sure you're not there. You're unmute
Okay,
yourself.
can you hear me now?
There you go. I can hear you now.
All right, good stuff. Well, thank you for your kind words. It's an honor to be here, and look forward to this session.
Sure, sure. Well, welcome aboard. Well, I'm gonna let you cook, as the young people say.
Well, listen, you're absolutely right. I'm born and raised in Prince George's County, which is about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes outside of Washington, D.C. And I just flew back here to Houston. We had a delay, landed like 1 a.m. in the morning here back in Houston. But my wife and I are empty nesters now. So we just moved to Houston a few months ago, LaDonna.
You sound happy about that. I'm worried. I'm almost there.
I am. I mean, we love our kids. We adore our kids. We have four amazing young adults. But this is it's a different season. They're all out of the house doing their own thing, and now it's time for Tracy and I, my wife and I, to do our own thing. So we're in H Town having fun.
Nice, nice. Well, please continue.
Yeah. So I'm the only child, an introvert by nature. I do build healthy relationships. Sometimes people assign the wrong meaning to an introvert. So as an introvert, I am okay by myself. It doesn't mean that you can't put me in a room and I can't build healthy relationships, because I do care about people. I like to add value to people. And so, but my parents worried about me as an introvert growing up, because I'm not only an introvert, but an only child. So when you're the only child and an introvert, your parents often say to you, did you make any friends today? Who are your new friends? And I'm like, no, I didn't make any friends.
Hold on, let me write those down. I never thought about asking that.
Yep, yep. Who are your new friends? And so that was interesting, LaDonna. And so I grew up in that space where my parents really felt like, man, maybe he's going to be a loner. And now, fast forward, I'm 55 years old, and we run an organization of over 300,000 people, and across Canada and the United States. And I deal with people all day, every day. So my point is, how you start does not determine how you're going to finish.
Yeah. And speaking of start and finish, I know that you are one of our keynote speakers at the upcoming conference in August. But tell us why should we come out and hear Darnell Self? Because I want to make sure everybody understands the impact of what comes out of your mouth.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So there's a few things that helped alter my life. And yes, it was a little scary, LaDonna, leaving behind my job. I'd worked at this retail store, this men's and women's clothing store, for 9 years, from high school all the way through college. And when I graduated, I became the manager of that retail store. And if anyone has ever managed retail, you open up the store when it opens, you close it when it closes. And when people call in sick, you got to go in because you're the manager. And typically, depending on what type of retail, the weekends are the most important time. So I was there every Saturday and Sunday. And no matter what was happening in my personal life, you could count me out. Family reunions, birthday parties, church. If it happened on a Saturday or Sunday, Darnell was at the mall working. And so what's my point? At 25 years old, yes, I was afraid to leave behind the predictable 2 weeks check, but I was more afraid of leaving behind my dream. And I just saw myself doing something greater. I knew I was called to do something greater. And I know I'm not the only one who feels like, man, there's something else that I know I'm called to do. And from 25 to 28, I found myself in a downward spiral. Sometimes you set your goals, you put your dreams out there, you make it clear, you write it down, but seemingly you're heading the opposite direction. And that was me for 4 years. And I used to, LaDonna, call it my season of struggle, but I'm careful what words I assign to what seasons in my life, because words have power. So it was really my season of preparation. And so I had to go to a level where I would never forget where I came from. And you know what I mean? And so I'm reminded of where I came from often, even though, we've been blessed to make a lot of money and have a lot of success.
Yeah. All right. Look, I'm gonna get all in your business,
Yeah,
okay?
please
Because
do.
what you said is very general. Okay. Follow your dream. Leave your job behind. Don't let it die. You know what I'm saying? Get into the weeds. How did you get there? I mean, this is you have 4 adult children, you and your wife are empty nesters, and now it is time to really live life as it should be. Tell us how you got there, because I know people listening are like, yeah, did that, understand that, but we need some details. Come
Yeah.
on, help us
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. And I think what happens is sometimes we overthink it. And overthinking it means the more thinking you do, the less action you have. So
Mhm.
it feels like sometimes, man, because I get asked all the time, like, what did you do? Like, how is it that you have that lifestyle? And, one, mentorship. Um, I didn't pretend like I knew it. So I looked for mentorship, and I didn't inconvenience my mentor for my own desires. I'm the one looking for information. So I traveled from Maryland at the time, 10 hours, LaDonna, to Atlanta to go seek out a particular mentor in an industry I knew nothing about, because I felt like, man, if I'm going to learn how to do something, let me find the best of the best and sit at their feet. So number one, I found mentorship in every area of my life. By the way, I have mentorship, and that's accountability. So I found mentorship. Number one. Number two, I had to become a better version of myself. And again, it sounds a little like fluff, but it's not. I mean, my current existence and my thinking attracts exactly what I have. So if I want something different, I got to become someone different. Now, who is that person? So that meant I had to learn some things I didn't know. My mother said, if you know better, you ought to do better. Well, I just didn't know. I didn't know about tax strategies. I didn't know about wealth. I didn't know, how to get to my next level. So I changed my environment. That was number two. So number one, I got mentorship. Number two, I heard you guys talking about a networking event. I put myself in rooms where in most cases I was at the bottom of the totem pole
Mhm.
financially. So people didn't even know I was driving my father's pickup truck, but I was trying to figure it out. So number two, I put myself in the right rooms around the right people. Number three, I executed. Man, when I say I failed big time, I failed often. But guess what? Show me someone who's never failed, and I show you a failure. Bottom line. So I put myself in a place where I just acted over and over and over again. And guess what? You get better through reps. You make up in numbers where you lack in skill. And as long as you have mentorship around you, they'll help you to pivot. They'll help you to plan, do review, and say that was great, but if you make this adjustment, you'll get better at it. So that's really from 25 to 28, and at 29 it all turned around for me. No results from 25 to 28, even though I'm doing all the
Mhm.
things I'm telling you right now. Attending the
Right,
network
right,
event.
right.
But on the outside looking in, there's no tangible results that they saw. But
Yeah.
I was becoming the person over those years. And then at 29, everything turned around. That's when we earned our first six figures.
Now, Larry, before I get into the weeds of asking him so that our listeners can kind of follow into those footsteps, Larry, I know you got some questions or comments, because Larry has been touting your name since the inception of Darnell Self. So, Larry.
Well, I just love to hear his story, because I think every time we're around positive people who are doing positive things and living their dreams and making it happen, it's important to sit back. And my father was a wise man, and when he talked, I listened. And I think it's important when people have achieved a degree of success to be mindful of the fact that they've done something. And what you're really trying to do is emulate and try to find out how to live your best life. I mean, at the end of the day, between life and death is all God you have. And how you live it and being happy is what it's all about. But, I was at an event, and Darnell, I watched you when you were celebrating your wife's and your anniversary. You had a bunch of friends around you. and you guys had a favorite song, and you actually flew Howard. You tell us a story about how you got Howard Hewitt to sing for your wife, and give us some more insight about things that people need to do to be successful.
Yeah. So I've been married 31 years in July this year, and when I asked my wife to marry me, it was in the driveway of her parents' house, and we were in my Honda Accord. I was feeling all good about asking her to marry me, and I put my cassette tape in. I'm telling my age right now, and it was a song by Howard Hewitt. And when he gets to the part that says "This ring" is part of the lyrics of this song, and I pulled out the ring because I thought that would be cool. A little corny now that I think back on
It
it.
is corny, yeah.
Really, LaDonna, that's where we're going this morning.
Hey, I'm a woman, but that's so cute. Go ahead.
So I mean, I'm 22, right, years old. So I'm thinking this is cool. And so anyway, I proposed to Tracy. She didn't even say yes. She just ran in the house. And so I'm like, but then she comes back out because she ran in the house to tell her parents, oh my gosh, Darnell just proposed to me, which they already knew. So they said, did you say, what'd you say? And she's like, I didn't. I just screamed, oh my gosh, let me go back down. And so anyway, the answer was yes. But 15 years later, we had some friends, as Larry said, in Puerto Rico. And I got on my knee because I wasn't on my knee in the Honda Accord, and the song started playing. And so she's like, oh my gosh, you remember the song that you proposed to? Except it wasn't a song. It was Howard Hewitt walking down the beach singing the song. And so she's like screaming, like, oh my gosh, how in the world did you do this? And my point in all of that is not having Howard Hewitt. It is that, people used to tell me, I'll share the philosophy that money doesn't matter. And it does. Money in the right hands can make huge impact. And it took money to get him there. It took money to adjust his schedule, to fly him out to Puerto Rico. And so our kids don't have any student loans. It took money for them to graduate and pursue their goals and dreams without having to worry about the burden of student loans. It took money for me to be able to help out in underserved communities and underserved people and to launch my nonprofit. It took money for me to launch multiple business in trucking and buy real estate properties. Yes, I'm a good guy, but no one gave me any of that. It took money. And so I had to find something where I could fund my dreams. And I chose marketing a legal service, and it made me millions of dollars. And I took that money and then created multiple streams. So I just don't follow the whole you got to be balanced. And I mean, what in the world is that? So if
Right.
I'm balanced, I'm like 25% in church and 25% sleeping and 25% in the gym and 25%. That's like, and then how do you balance? There is no such thing. There's prioritization. So my family's in my calendar before my business. That's priority. But I don't spend more time. I didn't spend more time in church than I did building my business. I just put the most important things in my calendar first and then schedule the next important things around that into the next. So it wasn't time wise that got me to where I am, right? It was
Mhm.
priority that got me to where I am. So my kids will say, look, yeah, dad didn't miss most things because I put the most important things in the calendar. And it doesn't mean I spent 8 hours with my kids. My kids probably didn't even want me to spend 8 hours with them, right? But
Mhm.
I was grinding 12 hours in the beginning to get to where I am. So that's if anybody in their 20s and 30s are listening, that's the time where you should be unbalanced. That's the time you have the energy to go hard. So older people were telling me, hey, you gotta get that balance in your life, and you know what I mean. Don't put your business before God. I'm like, no, God is first. I'm just spending more time in my business. So anyway, it's just an adjustment because I think LaDonna, the philosophies that most people follow has gotten them to where they are. And I tell my kids often, listen, wealth is a minority. So if you listen to the majority, you're going to end up check to check.
Yeah. And you mentioned priorities. You talked about marketing a legal service and hard work, consistency, all that fun stuff, right? Uh,
Mhm.
but what was for the real dollar that you made on your own? Like, I don't know how much that was, but the real first dollar that you made on your own outside of a job, what did that do for you? Was that solidification? Was it confirmation? Was it wow? Or
Yeah.
was it a little bit scary to be successful?
Yeah, that's a great. It's a great question. A little bit of everything you just said. It was a
Mhm.
mixed bag of emotions, and because it's all new for me, right? So I'm not, I'm used to someone telling me what my worth is. Right? I'm used to
Mhm.
someone saying, "In 2 weeks, you're going to be worth this. I'm paying you." I wasn't used to determining my own worth, and so I thought
Now
once
now you cooking. Now you cooking.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I wasn't mad at my job for paying me $40,000 a year. I was mad at me for accepting 40,000 when I knew I was worth more.
Mhm.
And so I thought once I made money as an entrepreneur, it would continue to scale, and that's it would continue to grow. And that's not necessarily the case. There was a lot of peaks and valleys. And so even when I had like my first $5,000 a month, with my first $5,000 a month felt like was $1 million, because when you're used to not having any money for a little bit, 5,000 feels like, well, depending, it's all relative. But for me, it felt like a lot of money. And I thought the next month's going to be 10, and the next month, and that's not true. I mean, it went back down to 1,000. Then I'm like, what in the world? So I was like, it's working. No, it's not. You know what I mean? I'm excited. I'm sad. I mean, I really needed a therapist. I need to lay on somebody's couch and say, look, it's going to be okay. Literally, I had this roller coaster ride for months and months and months, even after I started making money. And I think one wasn't my business, it was my own esteem that I had to shape and grow. I didn't feel good about me. And I wondered if I had what it took, if I was the person that could make millions of dollars and help others to do the same thing. So I knew I had to work harder on myself than I did my business.
And speaking of helping others, for listeners who want to follow into your footsteps, what business model did you start with?
Yeah, so I started with a model of legal shields, direct sales industry. That's where I started everything. So we marketed a legal plan. It was very disruptive, just like Amazon disrupted the retail industry and Uber disrupted the transportation industry. My mother used to say, "Don't get in the car with strangers, boy." Now we pay strangers to pick us up, right?
This is
So,
true.
right. And if you're my age, you remember Blockbuster, and then Netflix disrupted the video rental space. So Legal Shield, this company I was able to identify as a vehicle where I could generate extra income while adding value to others, allowed me to market a legal plan where people had access to justice. That was passionate about that because in college, I was pulled over for something I didn't do. I was pulled out of the car for something that I didn't do, and I thought, man, I can't be the only one who feels like there's far too much justice for those who can afford it and far too little for those who cannot.
Mm,
And I felt like, man, I can help be the great equalizer for justice. And we know we get as much justice as we can afford in this country.
yeah.
And so I felt good about it. I think it's hard to succeed at anything, LaDonna, you can't be passionate about. Period. And maybe
And
leading, right?
And especially with everything that's going on, I know we often say that anyway, and with everything that's going on today.
Yeah.
But but with this legal system, you mentioned there's there you said structuring contract. Did I hear that right? You said
Yeah.
structuring legal plans. There we go. And
Yeah.
what does that look like? Because why would the average person even need this? Because if I'm following the rules and I'm a law abiding citizen, why would I need to even hear someone that's talking about legal plans?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, right? And I used to think the same way, but that was my own naivety for thinking it's only about bad people doing worse things. That bad things happening to good people, and good people, unfortunately, are making mistakes every single day because they don't have good counsel. And there's this chasm happening, right? We see it between the haves and the have-nots. So it's like the middle class is dissipating because those who have can afford the best counsel to make best decisions. They don't sign contracts without having their lawyers take a look at them first.
Mm,
And the have-nots are winging their decisions because they can't afford access to those who can help them to make the best decisions, thereby having less. And so it is about just making sure that we're building our futures properly. So, for an example, I've used a service on basic things. I had a dealership didn't do what I thought they should do. I said, let me call Legal Shield and find out what my rights are. And they said, based on that state and that make and model and that issue that you're having, if they keep your truck for 3 more days, it falls under the limit law. They got to give you a new truck. I would have never known that and wouldn't
oh,
have called a lawyer to find out. Right? It's my daughter who got a speeding ticket in Atlanta. She's graduated from Spelman, and it wasn't a speeding ticket; it was a moving traffic violation. and she had her phone in her hand, her device. She was looking at the nav system, and she told the officer that, and he's like, "Doesn't matter. You can't have your phone in your hand." She's like, "I'm from Maryland. I'm just down here at school. You can see my tags." And he's like, "Doesn't matter. You can't have your phone in your hand." So he gives her a ticket. Well, a lawyer with Legal Shield, she just sent her ticket over to the law firm. The lawyer with Legal Shield called her and said, "Is this your first offense?" She says, "Yes, ma'am, it's my first offense." She says, "Do you have the device that holds your phone in your car?" She's like, "No, ma'am." She says, "Well, you can order it from Amazon, wherever you want to order from. Take a screenshot and send it to me, because in the state of Georgia, if it's your first offense and I can show the judge you now have the device that holds your phone, it's thrown out of court."
Nice.
Right? So
Otherwise, she would have had that moving violation.
right. And for me, because in the state of Maryland, you get points on your license. If you get points on your license, your insurance goes up.
It goes up here too
Okay, good.
in Illinois.
So, but my point is, it's the
Amen, sister.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Mary. That's right.
so here in Texas, you don't get points, but there's you get enough tickets, your insurance can still go up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's the benefit of having that safety net, almost like having a legal team.
Absolutely. In your estate planning, most minorities don't have a last will and testament. They don't have a living will or health directive. So we have siblings like, well, you don't have faith, keep him connected. He'll come out of that situation. Someone else saying he wouldn't want to live like that, disconnect them. And now siblings no longer speak because there's not any last will and testament done. So it's things like that are covered under this $1 a day membership instead of $300 an hour for a lawyer. So that's how I generated most of my income, and then took that income and started other businesses and also helped others.
So wait, I just want to be clear. You had Legal Shield, you used it to make sure that you took care of the situations that you had, but you also make money from it? Explain that.
Yeah.
Because
I
I'm
know.
like, if I
I
can
know.
call and make money, no, I need to explain that.
I know. Look, people ask often, because my wife, by the way, just to back up a little bit, my wife used to work at Black Entertainment Television. And my wife walked away from that job at 29 because of the success we were
Oh, for
having
those
here.
of you that don't know, that's BET.
It's
Please go
BET.
ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Uh, so she walked away. She was pregnant with our son, who's now 25. So she's been job free since she was in her 20s. And I say that because oftentimes when we're out and about in the middle of the day, people are like, "So what do you guys do?" Like even when we moved to where we are today, they're like, "Okay, what do you guys do?" I'm like, "Well, we market a legal plan and we use that to start several businesses." And the same thing you just said, LaDonna. Hold up. You make money off of sharing that app on your phone you just showed me. I'm like, "Yeah." And like, that's how you provide your lifestyle. It's like, yeah, other than investments, yes. And so we earn income every time someone decides they want to take advantage of the service. But more importantly, there's a residual income, a subscription. So I'm 55 now, so we have over 160,000 active subscribers, my wife and I, to our services. So every
Wow.
month they pay, we get paid. And I tell people, I don't care if you get paid $1 from each subscriber. That's that reoccurring, predictable cash flow that most people out chasing the dollar, because they're working linearly, transactional income. They're trading their time for money. And wealth is not a measurement of money, it's a measurement of time. How much money can you make with the time you don't have? And that's where most folks aren't taught that. So we're chasing a dollar instead of putting our dollars in a position to chase us. Like is an impossibility for me now, just like Netflix or anything else people subscribe to. Netflix isn't chasing you to pay that bill. People are paying. Now, don't get me wrong, there's attrition in any business. But for the most part, people continuing to pay for something they see value in, and you continue to get paid when you're blessed to wake up in the morning, that money's already hitting your account. So that's
Mhm.
that's, that's kind of how we generate most of our income is at this point is residual income.
So you have individuals that you started with. I'm just guessing that you became a member of Legal Shield, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Then I
you
became
started
an
telling
independent.
people
Yep.
about Legal Shield.
Yep. I
It's kind
became
of
an
like an
independent
affiliate.
business owner. Like if I was an independent State Farm agency owner. That's why I became an independent distributor of Legal Shield, marketing legal plans. And that's how we earned our first million.
It's funny you mentioned State Farm because when it comes to auto insurance, it's mandated. You have to have it.
Yeah.
What if they mandated you having legal representation? Wouldn't that be sweet? But
Oh, it'd be real
you
sweet.
can mandate it yourself because there's always something that's going to come up. And
Yeah.
especially with the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce, we have a plethora of businesses or business owners that we work with. So it would make sense to have legal representation because you can be sued,
Yeah.
you can have a contract dispute, you can have a contract that you may not even understand. Someone tried to give me or pay me just a stipend. They
Mhm.
sent me a contract to agree to just to get paid this money, and I was like, "What? Here's my Zelle." So, you know, but now I'm thinking, wait a minute, maybe I should have ran that contract through, Legal Shield
It
to
saved
say,
LaDonna, it
what's
saved me
going
a
on?
ton of money. And for small, I had a small business plan too because of the small businesses that we own. And I'm just telling you, so many small business owners, unfortunately, we want to become big businesses, but we don't have a big business budget. So we don't have the $400 an hour for a lawyer. And so whether it's trademark, copyright situation, we don't have updated employee handbooks since COVID. I mean, all types of things that we just don't have done because we don't have access to a lawyer that can help us out with that for literally a dollar and some change a day. So look, it's not your dollar, my dollar. We have over 4 million clients, Legal Shield does,
Yeah.
that's paying for these services every single month. So it's group buying power, shared economy. That's why we can do it. But yeah, for small business owners, it's a no brainer.
Wow. So where do we
Hey,
go from
Darnell,
go ahead,
let me,
Larry. Thanks.
hey, let me jump in here real quick. You have, one of the things that you have done successfully, not only create wealth for yourself, and I didn't get some idea without getting too personal, but you have a lot of people, like Mr. Humes. Tell me about how, because I think the last time I remember, and I think it's public record, he was a person who did not want to be involved and engaged, and he would see you in a limo, and then all of a sudden he's making 750,000. Give us a little bit of the stories that the people who didn't believe now believe in
Mhm.
terms of what you've been able to accomplish.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm not unique in that regard. I'm sure a lot of folks who start business, people wonder, man, are they crazy? Are they ever going to succeed at that? Get a real job type of thing. So I'm sure I'm not unique in that situation. But but yeah, so the team has been the team we've assembled because I don't want to pretend like I've done this on my own. We have introduced some people and mentored them to a high level of success because as LaDonna said, once I used the service and believe in it, you couldn't talk me out of this. I thought, man, everybody's going to at least hear about this. They don't have to buy, they don't have to join anything, but they're at least going to hear about it. And one of my best friends at the time, now he's my best friend, Mike Humes, who delivered mail in Georgetown. He's made over $10 million with Legal Shield. And again, also is public record. But so we have, we've been blessed to help a lot of people. Some part-time, spare time, where they're still in school or they're retired, so they don't want to do anything full-time. Some because they were looking for a change. Some to help fund their business dreams, right? They use this to help fund other things. So you're absolutely right. That gentleman you're talking about, Marty Wynn, his wife is a 5-time world championship boxer. And he was very successful as a boxing promoter and owned a trucking business, which we're partners in. And he was the one that saw me getting in and out of limousines and stuff back in the day. And he's like, man, what are you guys doing? And so he's one of our top income earners in within our organization.
Wow.
Yep. Yep.
Larry?
So
Yeah, yeah. So Donna, if because I know that you have a 10 o'clock appointment, and we have another gentleman coming in that's going to be talking to us about what's going on Capitol Hill, one of the leading lobbyist firms on Capitol Hill. Give
awesome.
us, if there was one thing that you wanted to share with the group. One, you're going to be at the convention, and number two, tell us, what do you think? Because you made a comment about reaching back, and not stopping and going back. Give us some insight. Give us 3 or 4 nuggets of success from your perspective, if you're going to be successful in this business from your perspective.
Yeah. No, listen, I've learned a lot in my 28 years in or so in business. And one of the things I realized is that everybody's not coming with you, period.
Mm,
Everybody's not going to see what you see, or everybody have a lot of money. Everybody be wealthy. So number one, everybody's not coming. And I used to, wait on folks. And that was one of my biggest challenges, waiting on other people to come with me. And people have to decide to participate in their own rescue. And I have a big heart. I'm a big giver. My wife says I give to my own detriment. So number one, I had to leave some people behind, and I really wasn't leaving people behind; they were choosing to stay behind, and there's a difference. Number two, in business, things change. The environment changes. Technology changes. So you've got to be willing to change. And so I could tell a bunch of stories on that, and I will. I'll share some of those stories at our event, the chamber event coming up in a few months. Some of the things that really helped me to pivot because we didn't have an app before. I was sitting down with people, Ladonna, with a paper application, signing folks up, giving them access to legal services. And now a lot of our money comes from other things that we have. That I don't do anything where I have to participate for my money though.
Mm.
All my income streams come in without my participation. I had to be taught that. I had to be taught to let go. And some folks hold on so tight that they're always going to be responsible, which means you're always going to be trading more time for more money. And I'll teach that too. How do you make money with the time you don't have? Because people always say, I don't have time. Great. That's perfect. I'm going to show you how to make money with the time you don't have, because that's wealth. You're trading time for money. That's only riches. You can never be wealthy if you got to be present for it.
Oh, yeah.
So again, I had to be taught all these things, Larry and LaDonna. So it's not like I didn't even learn this in college, right? And so I increased my aptitude, but I didn't learn I didn't learn the wealth principles, wealth 101. And so I'm very thankful to be around a lot of people who are way wealthier than I am, and I'm growing and I'm learning, and I'm not the same guy as I was last year, and I certainly am not the same guy I'll be a year from now. So I look forward to sharing some of the things that I've learned from my 20s to my 50s, and things I'll continue to learn that can cut and shorten the learning and earning curve of others who will be present at that event in a few months.
And before we let you go, Darnell, I believe, you know how we always hear generational wealth, creating generational wealth. Well, I believe in situational wealth.
Mm.
While you're experiencing wealth, how are you passing this knowledge real short on to your children?
Yeah. So our family, we have a really close family. We have four amazing young adults, three boys and one girl, and so we have family meetings where we actually gather and we discuss, and then each child, as well as my wife, a young adult, I should say, they'd be mad if I called them, little child, but they say what they got out of it. And sometimes they cause the conversation to go in a different direction because of what they add to it. And they're like, "Hey, Dad, but have you thought about this?" I'm like, "You know what? I didn't think about that. In your generation, things are different there." My
Mhm.
wife and I have a podcast, the Self Talk Experience, and so we pass along information there because the things we say to ourselves eventually determines what we attract for ourselves, and we have more conversations with ourselves than anybody else. And my last name is Self, so it's a play off of that as
Right.
well.
I was thinking of a whole lot of puns for real.
Yeah. Yeah, so we love giving back. It's a passion of ours. My best friend and I started a nonprofit in 2010 because we had some Haitian friends, and when the earthquake happened in Haiti, we started it, and then from there it continued to grow. And so we do a lot in that space as well. So just honored to help out any way that I can. Someone did it for me, didn't have to, and I just believe that true abundance comes from giving back. Scarcity says if I give too much, I'll have lack, and I just don't believe in that. I only believe in abundance, and so it continues to overwhelmingly come my way. And so blessed and thankful to be in a position where I can give back.
All right. Well, Larry, I got to get Darnell out of here because, like you said, he has a 10 o'clock meeting. And
Absolutely.
I really want to thank you, Darnell, so much for sharing your journey with us today, for quitting your job at 25 and helping hundreds of people create real income through Legal Shield. Who knew? And your
Yeah.
story is both inspiring and eye opening, but we got to get you out of here.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for your time, and look
Of
forward to
course.
seeing everybody in the future.
Of course. Of course. Well,
Take
Larry,
care.
oh, you
All right.
too.
Yeah.
All right. See you at the conference. Guys, if you want to show up and show out and learn some things from that conference that's coming up on August 5th through the 7th, it's going to be at Wind Creek Casino. Make sure you go to ilbcc.org and go to the calendar. When you go to the calendar, you'll be able to find all of the upcoming events, and the conference will be one of them. And now it's time to shift gears and head over to Washington, D.C. I feel like we need some type of music in the background, Larry. where the decisions being made can impact everybody and everything from your contracts to your coins. Joining us is a man with over 20 years of experience in public affairs. He worked as legislative aide, lobbyist, and political strategist, and he's currently serving as the vice president of Phoenix Strategies, a full service lobbying firm right in the heart of DC. Here we have Mr. Look, I'm about to say Darnell Self again because his name is still on my screen. Gregory Willis, welcome. Come on through.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate y'all having me.
Of course. Well, we need to know what's going on in Capitol Hill with these critical updates and BEP.
So let's talk today about a court case that I think hasn't gotten nearly enough attention, but could have massive consequences for Black-owned businesses across the country. And the federal government's role in this case is raising serious eyebrows. The case is called Mid-America Milling versus U.S. Department of Transportation, and it challenges the constitutionality of the DBE program, the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, right? Which was created to ensure that minority and women-owned businesses get a fair share of federally funded transportation contracts. Now, here's where it gets a little unusual and frankly alarming. Rather than fighting to defend the program in court, the federal government, through the Department of Justice, has agreed to a proposed consent decree with the plaintiffs. That means they're essentially separate. Agreeing to a court order that would drastically scale back the DBE program without a full trial, without definitive ruling on the merits, and without even allowing the minority business community to weigh in. And what does this consent decree say? It says that the DOT can't approve any DBE contract goals in jurisdictions where firms are certified based on race or gender-based presumptions. Right? It's a blueprint for dismantling the program from the inside out. And so now think about this. The federal government, the same entity that created this program to address discrimination in public contracting, is now voluntarily backing away from it in court without a fight. It's not just a legal maneuver, right? It's a signal, and it's a dangerous one, right? And so there's a group of company or organizations that are intervening in this case. They were allowed to intervene to try to fight. They filed a filing late last week to exercise that intervening power and to try to defend the program. But they're not only going up against the plaintiffs, they're also now going against the federal government. So we're in a really weird space. The DBE program, by accounts, is a $37 billion program. I mean, $37 billion in contracts to minority-owned and women-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses every year that they're trying to take away without a fight. So we have to kind of engage in a different way, and we can talk about that in the few minutes that we have. So, Larry, that's kind of the big news that we need to talk about and where we are, and people need to be aware of this. It's a serious issue.
The company you're talking about is a company out of Illinois. This case started out of Illinois. We are, I know that Tollway and others are fighting to, we're familiar with the companies, and it's alarming, and they're leveraging that. And what it really tells us is that in this case where he's won at the lower courts, basically, and that he basically, anytime he bids on any work at all, you cannot have a minority goal on it. Now, what Trump is doing, as you said, is expanding that to get rid of it altogether. And one of the things that we pointed out that, you helped me to, is the fact that African Americans and Hispanics and other minorities, when we take a look at federal contracting, get a very small portion. We get 1.35%. Hispanics get 1.85%, a little bit better. But white males are getting close to 93%. And how in the hell do they make the argument based upon disparity, impact studies, and everything else, that they're being treated unfairly, equal protection under the law? I'm struggling through it, Greg. Honestly, this is so alarming that it's scary.
I agree with it. So they're making arguments. They don't have to make sense because I like to deal in reality. They have done the work to put themselves in power at the federal court level to make ridiculous arguments and have those arguments be sustained. And that's kind of where we are. Even if this case goes, let's say the interveners are successful in terms of challenging this consent decree, you still got to go to the circuit court and then the Supreme Court. And what do you think we're going to get any love there? Right? So really what this is about is power and how we haven't utilized our power, and we need to start doing that.
Absolutely. So what should we, Greg, I know that there are a number of people fighting, and there's a number of agencies, especially in the state of Illinois, who have at least given me the impression that they're fighting to, they filed the amicus brief in this court case. I mean, there's a number of things, but they won. They won the case. And the fact of the matter is, people have to follow the court order that they've been given. You know, how do we, I mean, what do we need to do? Do we need to march in the streets? Do we need to, what do we need to do besides talk about it? What else can we do, the average person do, the average business organization do? Do we need to raise some money to hire more attorneys? We got to figure something out, because to sit back and let this happen without a significant pushback. Now, some of my brothers out there say, well, you know, we never got much anyway, and therefore, you know, the program never benefited us at its highest level. And they may have a slight point to that. But whatever we got it. And to lose it is going backwards, not going forward.
Absolutely. So briefly, I think there are some long-term strategies and some short-term strategies that we can engage in. The long-term strategy is basically we need to raise political money. We need to basically influence elections. And there's a set way to do that through political action committees that we can talk about at, you know, in a more detailed manner. We can lay out a plan for how you influence elections, not just in your districts, but around the country. And I think that collectively, the Black business community has to be engaged in that work. That's a long-term strategy. The short-term strategy is that you have to go to your state and local legislators where you have more power currently, and you have to reformulate the programs in a way that is race neutral, but is directed at folks that systemically haven't been allowed into the supply chain, right? You can do that we can turn the redlining on its head, right? And take those same statistics that folks use to keep us out of contracts and opportunities and use that as a basis for how we include people into contracting opportunities. You're going to hit the same population of people. You're just going to do it based upon the economic data as opposed to race and gender. That doesn't mean that you have to move away from the discrimination part of this, because even as these programs are being collapsed, I'm hearing from folks around the country, companies are losing $10 million contracts because commercial contracts, and we ain't even talking about federal, commercial contracts, and they're being told straight up, we're getting rid of you as a contractor because of the DEI stance that's being taken at the federal level. So we need to have a conversation with our corporate partners as well. If you want to do business with us, then you need to do business with us. Well, and we need to have those real serious conversations.
Well, Greg, one of the things that we've been somewhat successful as, and Reverend Jamal has done a great job, and the people have done a great job in terms of target. If we don't put, we have a $1.something trillion spending power.
1.8.
Go ahead, Greg.
No, you said 1.8. It's 1.8 trillion. Absolutely.
1.8 trillion. And we need to make sure, because Target's feel the pinch. Walmart is feeling the pinch, and they're beginning to say, wait a minute, this is not good business for us to take this stance. And they're beginning to pull back because they see the impact on shareholders' equity and value. We have to get down to the business and understanding where's people's vulnerability. They know where we're vulnerable at. We better understand where they're vulnerable at also.
Look, we have to understand that our spending power is an economic weapon. And we need to use it judiciously, but we need to use it. And people need to understand it as an economic weapon. Just like tariffs is an economic weapon. Our spending dollars are an economic weapon, and we want to use it. We can turn it into a plowshare, or we can turn it into a saber. Which would you like? But you got to choose one. You're going to build with us, or we're going to turn this against you and go build somewhere else. We have to do that.
Absolutely.
All right.
And even the attack, I know we got to get ready to go, Ladonna.
Yes.
Greg, we're going to bring you back next week to get more into not just this, but there's some other things happening too. Even the piece that we saw in South Africa, where they gave the erroneous pictures of the white Afrikaners who were killed, was just a mockery, in my opinion, of disinformation. And that's scary to me.
Let's talk about it. I'd be happy to come back and discuss that, because, we need to take a step back and look at the big picture of what these folks are actually trying to do, not just to our community, but to the entire country and to the world. And we need to be prepared to fight our own fight to save ourselves.
All right. Well, I got to slide in there, guys. I love it always. We do this each and every Saturday. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the Wake Up Show Chicago this morning. Thanks you to our sponsor, Wind Creek Casino, Southland. I think Larry's at the hotel right now as we speak, right?
Yes, I am. Living the life of luxury.
That's right. And of course, shout out to WVON 1690 AM, the Talk of Chicago, for being home of the powerful Black voices, because Black media is important, people. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Wake Up Show Chicago, for exclusive content, and register now for the VIP cruise in June and our Black Business Power Conference in August at ilbcc.org. And guess what? I'll be back on Monday for the all-new afternoon show with Atiba. Larry, it's always a pleasure, but I got to get us out of here on time.
Absolutely. Hey, you got a wedding to get to. No, wait. What are you doing?
I'm in a fashion show. Yeah, I'm modeling in a fashion show for Barbara Bates.
Oh, okay.
I love Barbara Bates. Yes.
Go ahead with your bad self, Ladonna Ray.
All right,
guys. Great talking to everyone. Have a great day.
You too.
Ladonna, back to you. Let's close it out of here.
All right, and thank you to my lovely assistant producer, Mr. Lorenzo T. Hughes.
Lorenzo.
All right, we're out.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye for now.
Voices break barriers and illuminate the path towards a more inclusive tomorrow. Follow us across the socials at The Wake Up Show Chicago. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. It's The Wake Up Show every Saturday morning at 9, where change begins with every sunrise. Welcome to The Wake Up Show Chicago.
That's the end?
The Talk of Chicago is 1690 WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
May and June are Health Awareness Months at WVON, and we're putting your health in the spotlight.
Alzheimer's doesn't just steal memories, it affects entire families. Black Americans are twice as likely to develop Alzheimer's or other dementias, yet far less likely to be diagnosed in time. Know the early signs: confusion, memory loss, changes in mood or behavior. It's not just aging. It's a signal. If something feels off, speak up and seek help, because catching it early can change everything. This message is brought to you by Neurogen Biomarking.
Hi, this is Dr. Ansel Johnson from Vision Salon Eye Care Associates in Blue Island, Illinois. Good vision is closely tied to good health, and at Vision Salon, we connect the dots for you. If you're living with prediabetes, diabetes, hypertension, or autoimmune conditions, our personalized eye care and lifestyle advice can help preserve your sight for years to come. Experience award-winning care from a team that served our community for 35 years. Call or text at 708-385-0013. Again, 708-385-0013 and book your visit. See our eyewear collections at visionsalon.com. Vision Salon Eye Care Associates, educating, empowering, and protecting your vision. Be well, see well, and be blessed.
It's Rainbow Push's Saturday Morning Forum on Chicago's essential storyteller, WVON.
please remain standing for the singing of our national anthem. Lift every voice and sing. In the tradition of our founders, you may raise your right hand in solidarity with the movement that has come before you.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise against the reaching skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of